Indian Springs, and I've just parked for the night with this 777 that's going into Henderson, Nevada for repair. Man, that is a glorious flag. Look at that thing. It's actually a lot bigger than it looks. So we parked here in Indian Springs because there's nowhere else to park, and when you're running oversized like this with the highway patrol and the permits and the escorts, you cannot run into the night. Now in California, we ran into the night. So I don't really want to park in Vegas. This is about an hour and a half from our drop destination, so we figured this was good enough. I figure I'm gonna take you guys on a tour. There you can see it loaded on the trailer. We have the outer duals taken off because it's going in for repair. They will not be needed. Normally, we would back these on the trailer, but because this one is broken down and actually doesn't run, we had to push it on the trailer. I could not film none of that because it was done on the mine site property, and they do not allow that. We got these wheel chocks here because obviously can't set the park brake. We've got our cross chains in the back, and we got the one going around here. That's pretty standard, typical for these kind of things. You can go off those, but I don't like to have the chains that long. It's better to get them tighter around there. So, brings us over to here. The easiest way to chain them down right here underneath is to go around this cross member on both sides to the trailer. Now we come around to the interesting part. So we got our chains there, and we've got our chains there. See, we did the blocking a little different. You can see that blocking's a little strained because this is not a typical way. Because the unit was broke down, we had to do what we had to do to get it on here. So with that being said, we put these here up under the struts. Even though the strut is chained down, it's just a little bit of extra support, as you can see. So that chain is actually what's holding it up, and then this wood prevents it in case that 8x8 breaks. It prevents this from slamming down on the ground. Now you can see this thing has had a rough time. What happened is it laid up over on its side, and it damaged the cab and the whole side up there. And if this stuff happens, I mean, there's just nothing you can do about it. It just happens. So there's another view. If I'm not mistaken, when it rolled over on its side, the engine was running for a few minutes, which means the sump ran dry. There's a good chance that there's internal engine damage. Obviously, the entire cab's gonna have to be replaced. The bed's gonna have to be checked out. The entire catwalk on the side. Even though it looks bad, it's probably not as bad as it looks, if that makes sense. So we are on the double tower steerable trailer. This thing is an absolute monster. The reason we chose this trailer was because it has the two towers. And what does that mean? I can not only lift the front tower, I can lift the rear tower too. I'll show you. So this tower right here lifts. You've got these hydraulic rams. You've got the control right here. And of course, it makes it easier to load the unit when it's broke down like that, because we can lift both ends of the trailer, get the blocking under there, and get this thing up in the air where we need it. As you can see, the front tires are only, I don't know, 8 inches to a foot off the ground. And when this thing's going down the road, if the road's uneven, it's gonna start doing this. And we have to have enough distance to make sure that those tires don't hit the road. What happens if those tires hit the road? I'm gonna show you guys, okay? This is the stuff that a lot of people don't show you, and stuff like Discovery Channel definitely ain't gonna show you. So you can see down here, you see that skid mark right there? That skid mark is from this thing leaning so far to one side it touches the ground. Now what happens? This is rubber, this is asphalt. You're going down the road, let's say 55 to 68 miles an hour. That tire touches the ground, and it could potentially cause this entire thing to shift or break a chain that can come off the blocks. There's all kinds of things that can happen that are not good. So that's why we keep these tires up off the ground. You're asking, why don't we just take the tires off? Well, then you have to send another truck because it becomes a divisible load. Back in the day, they actually just used to throw the tires up in the bed, but that makes it super unstable, and that's no good. Normally when these are in running condition, we leave the outside tires on too, and the insides. The only time that we take the tires off and set it on the frame is if we're going into California or a state that does not permit us to run at that height and like that. show you guys a little bit. So this tower lifts up too, which is really handy. So if we back it on, we can lift the front up. We can do all sorts of stuff. This tower actually will raise about up to here. In order to unhook, we have to raise this tower up, pull these blocks out on each side. We lower this so that this ramp right here lines up with this ramp. And then this whole thing just slides down here, boom, and you take your neck off like another RGN. That'll be a story for another day. So how did they actually get this on the trailer if it doesn't run? And how did they get the dirt out of the bed? Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting. Because this unit doesn't run, they had to bring another haul truck, park it next to it, hook the lines from that haul truck into this haul truck, and activate the bed cylinders to get the dirt out of it. Because what happens was there was dirt on one side, and when they loaded it, it caused it to lean, and there's nothing you can do to get that lean out other than get the dirt out. And for transport reasons, you want to get the dirt out so you're not overweight, and amongst other safety issues that could potentially arise from something like that. So I thought that was interesting. My boss actually loaded this. I really wish I got to see it. He actually built a special purpose truck with a 20 or a 40 ton winch to actually winch this on. So what they did, they dropped the trailer, they pushed this thing with a 992, got it close, and then he put his truck on the other side, hooked up the winch, and together they winched it up on the trailer. Now, why would you want a winch truck? Because you can do all sorts of stuff. You can kind of steer it, because if you put the winch off to one side, you can kind of pull it to one side. You have to have the hydraulics running in these things in order for it to work. Without the hydraulics, this thing does not run. Everything is hydraulics, everything. This side is the fuel tank right here. So you have this whole tank, which is the fuel tank. Now if we come around to the other side, this is the hydraulic tank. And these tires, I believe with the rim and the tire, weigh about between 4,000 and 5,000 pounds a piece. You can see how many lug nuts these tires have. They actually have a hydraulic, man, I forget what it's called, but it goes over here and has this thing that rests against here, and they have a foot pedal, and it's how they actually get these off. Well, they use an air gun, but to do the final torque, they got special tools for that. You can kind of see what happens here. See, the thing is, Caterpillar's gonna have to go through all of this and make sure that there's no other safety damages, because that is ROPS, rollover protected certified. That entire cab has to be replaced. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You can see obviously some oil's leaked out. I mean, it's not too bad for what happened, but it's not great either. I mean, you can see the windshield obviously broke because the cab messed up. Obviously this cab is expendable. You can see how stout they're built. So there's really no issue with that. The main issue was when this thing tipped over, the engine most likely ran dry of oil. That's gonna be the biggest issue that is faced here. This kind of stuff can be replaced. You gotta remember, people can't be replaced. So I'll show you guys coming down from one of these things. I got these steps. So luckily, none of this was really hurt. And how does a trailer like this handle all that weight? Well, unlike most trailers that just have 2 tires and maybe 2 or 3 axles on the outside, you can see here we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tires across, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 axles on the trailer that each have 8 tires. And then you have my tractor, which is a 4-axle tractor and designed to handle weight. Does it wear out my truck more? No, these trucks and these trailers are designed to take that kind of weight. And man, we were doing really good on time. If it wasn't daylight savings time, we would have totally made it to our destination today, which would have been cool because I would have been home tomorrow. And you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna still be home in time for eating turkey. And that's all that matters to me. So I hope you guys have a fantastic night. I'm gonna try to get this video put together by the time you're seeing it. Yeah, so thank you guys. Anyone here from TikTok, whatever, leave a comment. Let me know on some video ideas that you'd like to see and we'll get her done.